Wilson Morales, blackfilmandtv.com. Guys, obviously, as you're now time traveling like five, what's your initial thought process when you know you're going back to the 60s?
As actors or as characters?
Both. As actors, you have to know your history, and as characters, you still have to know your history.
Yeah. What do you
Wilson,
think?
you summed it up perfectly.
Yeah, that's really good. But Aidan, you wanna add to that?
No, I actually, aside from the joke, I think he summed it up perfectly. Yeah, you got to do your research. And I mean, not so much for five. He's sort of used to being out of place, being out of time. So for him, he's just always in this state of selflessness where he doesn't quite know where his place is in the world. But for the siblings, yeah, they've been there for years, so they've had to adjust and adapt. And David, you can speak on behalf of this, but you probably had to figure out what's your character like in the 60s.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that Diego's interaction with society in the '60s didn't really affect him as much as Allison would say, because obviously she got married and she was part of a movement. So Diego was almost more of like this selfish character, just trying to, somehow please his daddy throughout the whole season by trying to save JFK. So the history of JFK was very important for me, as coming into the season. And also, just when we got to the set, it was kind of cool. It's just the fact that the production team had turned an entire street in Toronto into a 1960s Dallas street. It was amazing to see.
As you mentioned earlier, Five seems to be traveling throughout his whole life, but this time he's pretty much centered, but has to find a way to get the group back together again. And you, as an actor, obviously you're the conduit, so you have a lot more to do than some of the other actors in there. How does that feel to you?
Sure.
How does that make you, when you're reading that script and you got to be here, there, and almost everywhere, and remain confident that you can do your job?
Oh, like as the character?
Yeah, as the character, like Five has to, he seems to be more in control, knowing that he has to bring everybody together, as opposed to everybody else is still finding their way.
That's a good point. It was very fun. Five's arc this season was very fun because it's almost a reversal of season one. In season one, he goes back and sees his family, but he's not very inclusive. He's very stubborn and short, and he feels he needs to do everything himself. And by the end of season one, he accepts that he needs his family to actually make progress. He needs to work together if he wants to save the world. And so there's the reversal of that. Season two, he goes to his family for help. And in their own little way, each of them reject him and they refuse to help him. And Five lets himself be vulnerable there and he really gets hurt. And so there's a lot more humanity to Five this season, which was very fun to explore.
Mm-hmm. And David, did you let your hair grow out, or was that a wig? And how was that feeling like?
I did for a little bit. Wilson, I did. I had let it grow out for like 4 months, and it wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough, man. I had a beard too, and so by the first episode, they had to, we did a bunch of camera tests for the wig, and then the beard that I already had to be shaved because of the the sequence of us coming into the '60s. But it was fun, man. I mean, the only thing to me is when you wear a beard, it does contract your mouth, so it's hard to talk. One thing that it did help was because I mumble a lot. It helped me enunciate.
Have you been able to walk outside with people either recognizing you or not? Since the show has aired and gained the fan base.
I'm sure Aidan has quite a fan base. Right,
well, I go for walks all the time, but everyone's inside.
Well, guys, it's been good talking to you. Obviously, people are looking forward to seeing season 2, and hopefully there'll be a season 3, and we'll talk again. Have a good one.
Hopefully. Thank you very much.